I want to talk just a little bit about anthropomorphism. If you've not heard of that, this is basically attributing human characteristics to non-human things. So Disney does this a lot in their cartoons. Maybe they have a teapot which has a personality and can talk and has eyes and a mouth and things like that. But it's also things like describing a car as refusing to turn on. A car can't refuse to turn on. It's either going to turn on or it isn't. But we like to think of it in that way. We might also describe a tray as saying the tray jumped out of my hand, or the keys are hiding in my bag. So we're talking about these objects as if they have personalities and desires, and they're making choices and doing things, but really they're not. But it helps us when we're talking about these things and describing the way that they are in our lives. And we're often told not to do this with our dogs. We're told we shouldn't, we should treat our dogs like dogs. We shouldn't anthropomorphise them. We shouldn't make them like little humans. But why not? I mean, they're not really that dissimilar to us. Okay, so they don't have a language like us. They can't speak French or German. But they do use body language a lot, and we use sign language. We write in texts, and we understand body language too. Dogs used to live outside, and we used to live outside too until we learned how to build houses. They've got no thumbs, of course. Can't argue with that. They're never going to hold a knife and fork, and they'll never write a story or draw a picture. But emotionally, we're actually really, really similar. If you were to look inside the emotional part of a dog's brain and compare it to a human's brain, for most people, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference. This might be a size difference, of course, and things like that. But actually, in terms of what's happening in there and the way that emotions are being processed and the way that behaviour is being changed and affected by what we're doing and thinking in our environment and all that kind of stuff, we're actually really similar. I talked about dogs using body language a lot, and humans do that too, although it's not really a skill that we are very tuned into. But if you've ever walked into a room and you've really sensed that there's a row in that room, there's been an argument, you don't need to ask people, about that. You can sense it and you can feel it. There's a vibe in there. There's an atmosphere, and that atmosphere, whilst we might not be able to put our finger on exactly how it's been created, we're picking that up using our body language. We're picking that up using empathy. So we're able to read those things just like our dogs are. And that's really important, actually. Empathy and the ability to empathize with others is actually a skill that goes right back to our very primal survival. We see this most obviously in little meerkats. When you are watching them at the zoo, one of them will suddenly stand to attention, and all of the other meerkats will suddenly just come to life and will also start looking out for that hidden danger. And it's this skill that allows us to communicate with each other in a non-verbal way, and especially to communicate how we're feeling. So if you're out, perhaps our medieval ancestors, would have gone out hunting, or they would have done something. If one of them had sensed danger at the front, they would have stopped, and the rest of the party would have known immediately that there was a problem. They might not have known exactly what that was, but knowing something ahead was happening that they should be alert to meant that they could also empathize with the person in the front, and they could now be ready. They could emotionally connect with them and copy their emotions, and therefore they were now able to respond to whatever it was that was happening ahead. But they didn't know what that was. It could have been anything. But if a threat had suddenly arrived, then they'd have thanked themselves for being able to have that skill, because that skill meant they were also ready for the threat, and they didn't even have to know it was there. So this is a brilliant thing in survival, and dogs are brilliant at this. And this is why when we go out for our walks, people are often told, if you're working with an anxious dog, that you should try and stay calm yourself, because when you start to get anxious, naturally our dogs are designed to be able to empathize with that anxiety and to recreate it for themselves, so that they too are ready for whatever it is that we're anxious for. So we have these skills that we share with them. Emotionally, we're very similar. The way that we react to emotions is very similar. We have the same desires, we have the same feelings, we have the same anxieties. We all experience love the same way, and joy and fear. Dogs don't share our complex emotions like jealousy or guilt, but they are able to feel things like overwhelm, happiness. They know when they're being rewarded, they're afraid when they're being punished, just exactly the same as we are. So when I think about those people that say you should just treat that animal, just treat it like a dog, you know, stop treating it like a human. Well, actually, I think in some cases it's okay to treat them like a human, because they are feeling the same fears and joy and love and everything else that we're feeling. And just the same as us, when we become afraid, we need help to overcome that fear. When we have joy, we want to share that. And dogs are exactly the same as us. So they need us to empathize with them too. They need us to stop maybe treating them like that old-fashioned dog. Don't treat them like a dog. Just treat them as the animal that they are, a really empathetic and emotional creature. So I think maybe we should just anthropomorphise more. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Take care for now. Bye bye.